delivery of your Ray Stevens classic comedy video, use your credit card and call 1-800-257-1257. That's 1-800-257-1257. Or send $19.95 plus $4.50 shipping to Ray Stevens, P.O. Box 8250, Atlanta, Georgia 30306. That's 1-800-257-1257.
This is CNN.
The vice presidential debate is over, but the squabbling continues. The ongoing debate the day after.
And the crucial test of this face-off, how did the performances play among the voters? Welcome to NewsHour. I'm Reid Collins in Washington.
And I'm Bobbie Battista at CNN Center in Atlanta. The hall in Atlanta is now silent, but the arguments among the vice presidential candidates continue to ring out long after the final word sounded in last night's vice presidential debate. After peppering each other with pot shots, the number 2 men on the tickets continued taking aim at each other in something of a morning after replay. All three took the morning talk show route to put the best spin on their own performances and take the spin off their opponents. Before leaving Atlanta today, Democratic candidate Al Gore commented on a Washington Post story that the State Department ordered U.S. embassies to search files on Bill Clinton's years as a grad student in England.
I think this is a very disturbing and even outrageous development for George Bush to order the State Department to rummage through the personal files of American citizens for political purposes. This goes way beyond any Freedom of Information request. It's plain that the White House is politically using the State Department in a blatant attempt to politicize the entire State Department bureaucracy in a failed effort to try to discredit Bill Clinton. I think it's very disturbing.
The Democratic candidate also accused Republican opponent Dan Quayle of stooping to smear tactics to attack Bill Clinton. But Quayle continues to push the character issue. In an interview on CNN this morning, the vice president claimed even Gore can't defend his running mate's character.
The American people got to see the issues in this campaign. Who's best capable to lead this country? The president wants to hold the line on taxes. Bill Clinton will raise taxes. That will put people out of work. And the one question that Al Gore failed to answer in 90 minutes is, why is it that Bill Clinton has trouble telling the truth? George Bush is one of the, if not the most honest person I've ever met in my life. He's a man of great integrity. Al Gore did not and cannot say that about Bill Clinton.
Perot's running mate James Stockdale accused his opponents of lacking any substance. The retired vice admiral told CNN that his often stumbling performance was just an indication of being a man of the people, not a professional politician.
I did all right. I mean, I didn't have as much to say as the rest of them. For one thing, they fought over airtime the whole time, and none of the subjects discussed had to do with thoughtfulness. I mean, they just have a kind of a push-button dump that they give you on, you name the subject, they got a dump. And the dump is what? It's just their policy, your policy. Nobody...
All right. Well, did you not like the format?
Well, the format was all right.
Could the format have been better? Could it have been more
No,
productive?
I don't want to complain about the format.
Right.
I'm just saying that I was first time in the pool, and I was with guys that are not my kind of guys, and they talk in ways that I don't talk.
The candidate's combative tone promises to be a preview of Thursday night's second debate among the presidential candidates.
Well, from the top of the tickets, there was praise for their man's performance of last night. Democratic presidential candidate Bill Clinton is spending much of the day preparing for the next debate tomorrow. In a prepared statement, he said he was proud of Gore, and that after the vice presidential debate, he said all America knows why. And a spokeswoman for the president says Mr. Bush telephoned Dan Quayle right after the debate and told him he did a fantastic job, that he had a great performance, that he in fact had hit a home run. Bush is sticking to the White House pretty much today, the opportunity for him to prep for tomorrow's presidential debate.
Polls taken after the debate were inconclusive about the outcome. One network poll found Gore the winner, another called the debate a virtual dead heat, and about 10% of viewers in both polls said they were uncertain about the winner. Here's a sampling of how other Americans saw the debate.
I think that if one has to pick a winner, it would be Gore. But I was surprised as to how well Quayle handled himself. In many ways, I thought he handled himself better than Bush did.
I thought Stockdale was probably the surprise of the debate because he wasn't a politician. I think he presented his case clearly.
Don Quayle did very well in this debate. And Al Gore too did well, but I think Don Quayle did much better than him.
Well, it's hard to say who won, but if the object is to find out who would be the best president in the event that the president, something happened, I think Gore clearly showed that he had the character to do it.
But I just felt as if it was more kind of a circus, more so than an opportunity to listen to how they feel about the issue specifically.
I think Quayle did spectacularly. I think he came out fighting.
I think people were surprised tonight how well Quayle did.
Associated Press had 5 debate coaches judge the debate out of a possible score of 150. Gore got 118 points, Quayle 106, and Stockdale 88.
In the heat of the political battle, each may have fired off some claims or accusations that backfire under close scrutiny. We get more on this from CNN Special Assignment Correspondent Brooks Jackson.
Who was telling the truth in the vice presidential debate?
One of the proposals that Senator Gore has suggested is to have the taxpayers of America spend $100 billion a year on environmental projects in foreign countries.
Just not
foreign
true.
aid. Well, Senator, it's in your book on page 304.
No, it's not.
It is there.
Dan Quayle was flat wrong about that. The $100 billion figure on page 304 of Gore's book refers to the cost in today's dollars of the post-war Marshall Plan, not what Quayle said. Gore also stumbled on the facts.
Bill Clinton and I will create good, high-wage jobs for our people, the same way he has done in his state.
High-wage jobs in Arkansas? Wrong. Arkansas wages are $2.38 below the national average. The understatement of the evening was made by Admiral James Stockdale, Ross Perot's running mate.
I've seen the cost of living double in my lifetime.
True, and how. The cost of living has increased 600% since 1950, and Stockdale was born in 1923. But it was Quayle who repeatedly twisted and misstated the facts.
I hope that when you talk to those people, you said, and the first thing that Bill Clinton and I are going to do is raise $150 billion in new taxes.
You've got that wrong, too.
And the first, that is part of your plan, $150 billion in new taxes.
Quayle misrepresented Clinton's economic plan, which calls for a net tax increase of only $46 billion, spread over 4 years. The $150 billion Quayle mentioned, minus $104 billion in cuts he neglected to mention.
Everybody making more than $36,000 a year will have their taxes increased if Bill Clinton is president of the United States.
That claim is unsubstantiated. It's based on a long series of debatable assumptions by the Bush campaign, all disputed by Clinton.
You know full well the Caribbean Basin Initiative. You've supported that.
No.
That is a program there.
I voted against it.
You have voted for it in your record?
No.
Okay.
Once again, Quayle was wrong. The record shows Gore voted against final passage of the initiative in 1983. The political reality is that voters don't score campaign debates on the basis of who gets the facts straight, but if they did, Dan Quayle would have lost Tuesday night's debate hands down. Brooks Jackson, CNN Special Assignment.
Well, George Bush may have squandered an opportunity to cut into Bill Clinton's lead during the first presidential debate. That is one of the conclusions of the latest CNN USA Today Gallup tracking poll, 1/3 of which was conducted after Sunday's debate. It shows only Perot gaining support, though Clinton retains his strong lead. 48% of those polls support him to 33% for Bush, 12% for Perot. The poll was conducted over Saturday, Sunday, and Monday.
The presidential candidates will square off in their second debate tomorrow in Richmond, Virginia at 9 p.m. Eastern, that's 6 Pacific. CNN, of course, will bring you that live, the coverage beginning at 8:30 Eastern Time, 5:30 Pacific. There is a caveat here. If baseball does what it might do, it's conceivable that all may be moved up by 2 hours. NewsHour certainly will continue in just a minute.
Campaign USA 92 is brought to you by Verilux No-Line Bifocals. The vision you need, the look you want. None of the lines.
Bifocals? I'm gonna look just like my father. My grandfather. Wait, nobody'll notice the lines if I do some cool frames or something. This is not working.
For those who refuse to be seen in bifocals, we offer the perfect disguise. Verilux no-line bifocals. The vision you need, the look you want, none of the lines. Call for a Verilux professional near you.
So my son asked me if there'll be any trees left when he grows up. He's thinking about it, just like everybody. Well, working for Georgia Pacific like I do, I can tell him we're doing our part. Planting new trees by the millions, setting aside land, making sure the forest will always be here, for everybody. I can't speak for other companies out there, but at Georgia Pacific, we're doing what needs to be done.
Remember when cats sang for Meow Mix?
Meow, meow,
Well, today's Meow Mix tastes even better. With flavors cats prefer over the old Meow Mix 3-to-1. And cats are doing more than singing for it. Meow Mix. Tastes so good, cats ask for it by name.
Meow.
To say the least.
On CNN Today, the hot new women in country music on Showbiz Today. Then, the economics of your everyday decisions. One of this year's Nobel Prize winners explains on Moneyline. All today on CNN.
At issue before the U.S. Supreme Court today, separation of powers, and specifically whether federal courts can second-guess the U.S. Senate. This case involves a former federal judge from Mississippi, Walter Nixon, who had been convicted of perjury in 1986. Under the Constitution, the U.S. House of Representatives impeached Nixon in 1989. The Senate then stripped him of his judgeship. But Nixon wants the job back and is going all the way to the High Court. His lawyers argue he didn't get a fair shake in the Senate proceedings because the evidence had been presented before a committee of 12 and not to the full Senate.
We are very hopeful that they will agree with us that there has been a violation of the constitutional right of trial before the Senate in this case.
Last month it was, a federal judge invalidated the Senate's impeachment of another former judge, Alcee Hastings of Miami, because the Senate had used that same committee procedure. A ruling in the Nixon case from the High Court's expected by July.
The government is offering a mixed message today on the economy. The Labor Department's latest producer price index shows wholesale prices up 0.3% in September. That's the biggest jump in 5 months. The government attributes the increase mostly to higher gasoline costs and pork prices. The producer price index measures inflation before it gets to the retail level. For retailers, another government report indicates good news. The Commerce Department says retail sales advanced 0.3% in September because of an increased demand for building supplies. Well, yet another survey shows a jump in college tuition costs. The New York-based College Board says tuition and fees are up 10% at public institutions and 7% at private four-year schools, 6% at private two-year schools. Higher education costs vary widely from $321 a year at the College of the Mainland, a public two-year school in Texas City, Texas, to more than $24,000 a year at Sarah Lawrence College, a private school in suburban New York City.
Well, just when they were about to take off, airfares apparently are going down again. U.S. carriers have announced a week-long discount ticket sale in some 16 U.S. cities. Discounts are for tickets up until December 15th, but do not include the Thanksgiving holiday weekend. Some examples of price cuts: round trip between Los Angeles and New York would cost $338. That's down by more than $100. The same cut had been announced on a round trip ticket between Milwaukee and Miami. A Washington-based group called Citizens for Reliable and Safe Highways, that figures out to be crash, says truck driver fatigue is a leading cause of fatal truck accidents. In a Washington news conference today, the members of the group said they are furious over a Department of Transportation proposal to allow truck drivers to increase the number of hours they can drive.
Now we are asked to take the men and the women who are the backbone of the American trucking industry and to turn them into nothing more than robots, into mules, to put them in traces and to put bits in their mouths, to make them drive 100 hours in an 8-day cycle, to have only 24 hours of rest, to make them get